Hi guys, in this particular session we are going to look at the overview of classification of human knowledge. So why are we interested in this classification of human knowledge? We all know that the knowledge is the greatest asset that humans have collectively built, and also we spend good part of our life acquiring that knowledge. So therefore it's always good to understand the nature of human knowledge. In philosophy we call it epistemology. And also when we are studying different subjects, if you know to which branch of human knowledge a particular subject belong to, we are in a better position to understand that subject effectively. And also when we are practicing our career, so we must know to which part of the human knowledge our career is predominantly belong to. So it helps us practicing our profession in a much more effective manner. We can classify the human knowledge into two broad categories. So that is the science and humanities. First, we will look at the science and then we will move on to the humanities. So the two main features of science is it's logical in nature and that knowledge is testable. So let's see what are the main branches of science. So we have the formal science, natural science, social science, and applied science. So let's take one by one. Formal science is the studying of formal systems. So the formal science subjects include mathematics, computer science, information science, system science, and statistics. And there are a few more. So let's see what are the features of formal science. And we know it's obviously science, but there are some specific features. So the first feature is formal science is man-made formal knowledge. So therefore it is 100% logical and fully understandable because it's something the man has made. And also when the new knowledge is created, often the existing knowledge is not challenged. So formal science is built upon three building blocks: the formal notations, axioms or the postulates, and the theorems. So we need a formal notations to represent the knowledge in a very compact manner. And sometimes people get little bit intimidated by looking at the notations, but we have to just remember that those are just notations to make our life easier. Second, we have the axioms and postulates. So those are the self-evidence truth. If something is obvious, obviously logical, no need to proving it anymore. So we call it either axioms or postulate. So axioms are the general truth, whereas the postulates are the assumptions which are true but for a specific area. And finally, we have the theorems. So theorems are the truth that we establish based on the existing truth. That existing truth can be either axioms or postulates or theorems that we have already proved. Now let's look at the natural science. So the natural science is understanding, predicting of natural phenomena based on empirical evidences from observation and experimentation. So what are the sub areas in natural science? So we can first categorize it into life science and physical science. So life science is pretty much the biology subject. If you want, we can further subdivide it into zoology and botany. On the other side, we have the physical science. The main subject is physics and chemistry. And of course, there are some other subjects like earth science, astronomy, and so on. So what are the features of natural science? So the first thing we have to understand is here we try to understand the nature. Nature is a natural phenomena. It is not something that someone or some superhuman has made it. So therefore, nature doesn't have hard and fast rules. So in natural science, we try to understand the patterns of the nature. And nature is imperfect. So that is why natural science is quite hard subject. and lot of fussiness is involved, lot of uncertainty is involved, and we try to best understand. That's it. We can't go into something like perfect understanding. So we have to always keep it in mind when we are studying a natural science subject. And also, the theories and laws in natural science are often challenged and replaced with better theories. So that is part and parcel of the nature of natural science. And how do we build new knowledge in natural science? So we call it scientific method. A person can make an observation and he can make a hypothesis. So what he believed to be true. So just because you believe it to be true, you can't say it is the truth. So you have to test it in a formal manner, experimentation. And then by looking at the results, you can come to a conclusion. Either that conclusion will affirm your hypothesis or negate your hypothesis. And especially if you feel like it affirm your hypothesis, you have to submit it for peer reviews, because you may have made some mistakes. Your thinking might be having some flaws. So that is why the scientific community always do the peer reviews, and then they collectively accept it or reject it. So when it comes to natural science, there are two main concepts: the theories and laws. So a lot of people has confusion about the theories and laws. So they are not the same. So theories explain why something has happened, like the theory of evolution. So the theory of evolution try to explain how we have evolved to the current state. The Big Bang theory, it try to explain how the universe has come into the existence. So then we have the laws. So the laws describe what will happen. So there are a little bit more formality in laws. Often the laws comes in the form of formulas as well. The famous Newton's laws, Ohm's law, Coulomb's law. So we can apply those laws to build new things. We can predict what will happen in a much more confident level. So now we are moving to the third branch in science, the social science. So this is somewhat different from the other two, because here we are looking at the societies and the relationships among individuals in a scientific manner. Again, the logical thinking, and we are going to do some experimentation testing. So what are the key areas in social science? So we have the economics, sociology, political science, history, anthropology, and law. So you can see that we are looking at the interactions in economic sense, the social sense, the political sense, the historical sense, and also the well-being of these people in the sense of laws and other things. So what are the nature of the social science? Again, we use the formal approach and logical thinking. And also, since we are looking at humans, so the humans are also natural creatures. So they are not formal things. So therefore, there are a lot of gray areas, and a lot of things will be challenged, and new concepts will be there, and also some conflicting concept will exist in the social science. For example, the both capitalism and socialism. So some people believed in capitalism, whereas some others believe in socialism, and some people believe in certain concepts of both. And what is the mechanism of building knowledge in the social science field? So we do something called social research, look at the society in a very formal manner, and people can come up with some theories. So we call them social theories. The theory is related to marketing, how the market behaves. Theories belong related to how the people behave politically and culturally. So those are some social theories. And now we are moving to the final part of the science stream, the professions and applied science. So people have been practicing different professions for a long time. So they have identified some specific skills, best practices, etc. So those things are covered in the professions and applied science. and of course different professions need different skills and procedures. So therefore we can identify there are so many key professional areas. So here this is just the main areas with extensive knowledge is needed, but the list goes on, right? Engineering and technology professions, business related, medicine, law, education or the teaching, agriculture, and so on. So each profession needs its own skills, best practices, procedures, professional practices, ethics, etc. And those things are covered in professions and applied sciences. And often these are related to another science area. For example, if you take engineering and technology, it is related to the formal science and the natural science. So now we are moving to our the second category, humanities. So the humanities include the study of the languages, literature, art, history, and philosophy. So that is, we are trying to understand the human nature. So what are the key knowledge areas? The languages, the literature, arts, history, philosophy, and few more. Right. So now we are done with the basic classification. Now let's briefly look at some emerging study areas, especially when you are planning for your careers, your future. So you have to eye on the new areas because there will be more opportunities in these new areas in the future. So this is again not an exhaustive list. Some of the selected areas are mentioned here. Artificial intelligence and machine learning, the big data, data analytics and data science, ethical hacking and cybersecurity, robotics, aerospace, biotechnology, the nanotechnology, food and agriculture science, environmental science and sustainable development. So those are some of the areas that are emerging very rapidly. So I hope you got a good idea about the classification of the human knowledge and the nature of different study areas, and also what are the sub study areas. So once you understand those classification, you should be able to understand or study a particular study area according to the nature of that study area, and also you can practice your profession with those features in mind. If you feel like this session is useful to you, make sure you like it and subscribe so that you get the notification for future videos as well. Thank you.